What's up, folks? Welcome in another edition of From the Press Box with Wade Neely, coming to you live, as always, from Citizen Headquarters. Wade Neely here, sports editor of the Pulaski Citizen. Diving right in, we've got a big show today as Pulaski Citizen publisher, Mr. Scott Stewart, and one of my near and dear friends will sit down. We have an expansive segment for you guys today. So as always, let's go ahead and dive right in. Scott and I, by the way, we break down all things Giles County. We break all things Richland. We talk about Main Street Media. We talk about Pulaski Citizen Live. Really, we kind of just lay the land for everything that we have going on here at PCL, Main Street Media, and the Pulaski Citizen. So if you're not really sure on where to get information, where to find this, where to find that, we've got you covered. Great segment there. Had a great time catching up with my good friend. And yeah, it kind of brought back some old memories of days of yesteryear when Scott and I used to get together on Friday mornings on the local radio station and talk shop. So that's a big segment here. With that being said, we just need to go ahead and just straight up just dive right into last week's Fearless Forecasters, our tale of the tape. Pretty good week for ya boy. I went 13-3. We started off on Thursday and Friday as we got wins from Oregon State and BYU. Georgia, a little bit of a squeaker, but they snuck by. Had that game picked pretty well. Alabama was a winner for me. LSU, didn't see Ole Miss pulling off the win versus LSU. Thought Ole Miss, not really an indictment on LSU, I thought, but I just thought Ole Miss was going to be reeling a little bit more. So props to Lane Kiffin and the guys for getting that win as they rushed the field down there in Oxford. Tennessee looked kind of impressive versus South Carolina. Nice quality game. They now will get a chance to rest up before Texas A&M comes calling. More on A&M in just a second. We won the Cal game. We won Kentucky. Pittsburgh was a loss as Virginia Tech goes and knocks off Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh kind of reeling, and unfortunately for me, Scott Stewart keeps putting them in the paper, and I haven't learned my lesson just yet. So maybe one of these weeks I'll figure it out with those guys. The big game of the week that kind of swung things in my favor, Purdue over Illinois. Picked up a couple of games on Mark and Daniel Haney in that one. I picked the Titans, I picked the Jaguars, and I picked the Chargers in that one. So good week for me. As unfortunately, however, as we flip ahead to this week's Fearless Forecasters, I'm still toward the back, but it's okay. We'll have a chance to kind of make things right, make things whole this week. So coming up on that, props to John Carter. He was one of three that missed two, and he won on the first tiebreaker. He wins last week's prize. This week's prize is courtesy of our friends at Carden Distributing, and it is a Grizzly Yingling Light Cooler. It is a very impressive cooler. And again, make sure you drop off your Fearless Forecasters submissions here at the South 1st Street Pulaski Citizen Studios. That way you can have your chance to win. And if you pick perfect, you win 600 smackers. So a chance to get in, a chance to win some cold, hard cash. We're going to take a quick time out. On the other side of this break, a lengthy segment with our good friend and Pulaski Citizen publisher Scott Stewart, talking all things PCL, talking all things Main Street Media, talking Richland in their loss last week to Collinwood, and even talking Giles County a little bit as the Bobcats got their first region win of the season. Quick time out. We'll have Scott, and then we will close it up, as always, with the big finish. Wade Neely saying, sit tight, folks. More from the Press Box comes your way right after this.
For over 50 years, PES Energize has been proudly powering our community in Pulaski and Giles County, Tennessee. We're more than just an electric utility. We also offer internet, TV, and phone services. Our commitment to our customers and our community is what sets us apart. We're dedicated to providing safe, reliable, and innovative services. At PES Energize, we believe that serving you is a privilege. We're here for all your energy needs. Visit PESEnergize.com or call us today.
Welcome back. Another segment here on From the Press Box. We're coming to you live from Citizen Headquarters. And I mean, we're at Citizen Headquarters. It should not be a great surprise. But we got the publisher of the Pulaski Citizen. He's Mr. Scott Stewart, our good friend.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing, my brother?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, Wade. You must be at the bottom of the sports barrel.
You know, you could make that case, or I could say maybe I was saving the best for later in the season.
I'll prefer that. I'll take that.
But we do want to get in because we really have a lot to talk about, and kind of
there is really, yeah.
With it being fall break, I kind of wanted to, we've talked about golf, we've talked about football, but we kind of wanted to talk about all that, but also give everybody an update on what things are and where we stand with Main Street Media. Right now.
Everything. Basically just a big sports potpourri, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what we're going to do, yeah. There's a lot going on in sports, Wade, and you know, everybody knows, if you know me, knows how much I love sports. Although I've been mostly news my whole career, I've always kept a finger over in sports stirring, and even was sports editor for a while here at the Pulaski Citizen. And of course, I've done a lot of sports broadcasting. As a matter of fact, before we get going, I saw one of my old mentors, and I don't want to call him old because he's still around. He might get mad at me, but Andy Chun, I saw him the other day, and it was so great to see him. We kind of was reminiscing about some of our escapades back in the day, you know, driving up to Montgomery Central every day of the week for a region basketball tournament and that kind of stuff. And, of course, Andy and I did the state basketball tournament championship and the state football championship together. So a lot of stuff that Andy and I did together, and we really did enjoy that. So it's good to see him. But, you know, that kind of kicks me into Pulaski Citizen Live, which is one of the things that we've been doing now for a little over, right around 2 years. We started in January of 21 because we wanted to make sure we were going to do it right, which is number one thing that we always want to do is if we're going to do it, make sure we're doing it right. And also the reason behind doing it is to give our kids in Giles County the kind of coverage that they deserve.
Right.
That we feel like they deserve, right? And so we felt like they weren't getting the kind of audio coverage that they deserve, and that's why we started doing this. You and I got together whenever you became sports editor, and we talked about it from the very first day. You came in with that idea in your mind. It had always been something in my mind. So and really, Pulaski Citizen Live has been doing great. We got a bunch of great sponsors, and that we'll read them off to you here in a minute. But we got a bunch of great sponsors. We've got a bunch of great teams. We got great coaches and fans. I mean, the coaches have embraced it just as much as anybody, and the players. Yeah, you've seen some of these interviews that Wade's been doing, and also that we've been doing with these kids and coaches all the way through from the very beginning. So what we're proud of, the number one thing we're proud of, is that we have provided coverage, audio coverage, streaming coverage of more basketball, football, baseball, softball games than anybody else in Giles County. I mean, nobody else is bringing you the kind of coverage that we're bringing you, and we're happy to do it because that's what we want to do. And really, that all feeds together. The newspaper feeds into the Pulaski Citizen Live, and that all feeds into the website. It all works together. And if you're taking in Giles County sports through all the ways that we're offering it to you, you're getting a pretty full plate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's been fun. And, some people may be wondering if you and I are on the same page and we have an idea that could go one of two ways. And I think we're both excited and proud that it's gone this direction because Pulaski Citizen Live has been so much fun. Whether it's middle school football all the way up to TSSAA football playoffs or Final Four in basketball. We've been there to cover every event.
District softball games, region baseball games. I mean, sub-state based, sectional baseball games, sectional basketball games. I mean, all that stuff is fun for us, and then we get to do it to help our readers and our listeners know what's going on, which is really what we're here for, right? Plus, putting some spotlight on all these kids that are doing such good things out on the field. It's
been so much fun, and so the PCL has kind of been a really unique and exciting endeavor for us.
Yeah.
That was kind of something that we had already been doing under previous ownership, but now we get to throw in the fact that Main Street Media, which is a tremendous network in its own right. Now we get to be a part of that umbrella, and we're really trying to just take our game up even to a next level.
Yeah, it's a whole nother layer, and we're really just kind of scratching the surface on that. Wade's show This show that we're doing right here is part of the Main Street Media TV network. It's a show on the Main Street Media TV app website. And let me just go ahead and stop right here, Wade. You know, there's so many ways that you can see the Main Street Media app. And if you love local sports and mid-state sports, the way we used to get it covered in the old days where you knew what was going on in Nashville and Franklin and all across the mid-state, that's kind of what you're getting through Main Street Media. If you were, through our newspapers on their websites, you can see all that stuff. And then all of these sports editors in all these communities are getting together with their coaches in their communities and talking about their community, like we've been doing. And it's really an awesome deal. So you can find all those, you can find them through our social medias. But we really want folks to try to kind of pull up our Main Street Media app, or on Roku or on Apple TV or on, what is it, Fire? Is that right?
Yep.
Fire
Amazon Fire Stick.
And Fire Stick, and and then also through the MainStreetMediaTV.com, and you can also get the app on your phone. And there's all kinds of content on there. It's not just sports. Don't get me wrong. Matter of fact, there's a lot more than sport. Sports is kind of Johnny come lately on MSM TV, to be honest with you, other than Chris and Mo's show, which has kind of been a staple of it. That one's been there for the whole time. But all these coaches shows, like yours, the show you're doing, plus all these coach shows, they're kind of new to the whole MSM TV thing. The rest of this stuff's been there for a long time. You got a lot of features and news stuff, and you can see. I mean, it's great. Really, anybody that loves small town community news, what MSM, Main Street Media, is doing with their newspapers to expand it into the digital realm is pretty awesome. And I know this is a sports show, but it's really beyond sports.
Absolutely.
But sports is part of it. It's just like the newspaper. The newspaper is not all sports, but a lot of times it's what people pick the paper up for, right? So it all works together. There's so much of that stuff, everything kind of interlacing with each other. That's what makes community news great. You pick up the paper for the sports. Somebody else picks up the paper for the news. Somebody picks it up for the obits. Somebody picks it up for the classifieds. At the end of the day, everybody's got something there, and that's really what MSM TV has gotten into as well. So yeah, did you pull up our? Let's holler at our PCL sponsors, because some of these guys have been with us from the very beginning. Yeah. Some have come and gone. We appreciate every one of them, and if there's any businesses out there, we're always looking for people to come along and partner with us on this. We do these sponsorships in a couple different ways, but these are our main sponsors that we got going on for football right now.
Absolutely. We want to remind you guys that all PCL fall broadcasts brought to you by these folks: Pulaski Natural Gas, Winterburn and Associates Insurance LLC, May Oil Company, Haney Realty and Property Management, Southern Tennessee Regional Health System, PES and PES Energize, M&M Staffing, and Haney Financial Solutions. Like you said, some of these folks have been with us from the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Some have come and gone, and some have come and gone once or twice.
That's right.
We're always excited to have everybody on board. We simply just could not do this without these guys.
No, as much as we love to do it, y'all, I mean, we all have to realize that we're all in business here, right? I mean, nobody's making out like we're just doing this because it's heavy on our hearts to do it. We love doing it, don't get me wrong, but without the financial support that we get from our community, from our business community, we can't do it. And these guys have shown up and shown out, really, to be honest with you. So when you see any of these people, we know them, we all live with them, we work with them, we go to the grocery store with them, wherever. Tell them thank you. If you enjoy what Pulaski Citizen Live's doing, tell them thank you, man. We appreciate you doing that, and please keep doing it so that we can continue to enjoy. And really, and to be honest, let me just say this. It's what Wade and Mark and Jennifer and Cody, and I'm afraid I'm going to leave somebody, Chris Bledsoe. It's what those guys have been doing. I'm behind the scenes. I'm trying to just make sure that whenever they get somewhere, they can get on the air. So, and I don't think it's got a thing to do with me. I appreciate those guys. And really, if you want to talk about what Pulaski Citizen Live is, it's Wade Neely, Mark Mize, Jennifer Hawkins, Cody Derryberry, Chris Bledsoe, and people like Trent Maxwell. We've had Colton Hood on there.
Taylor McNary, us out lately.
And now we got Taylor McNary, who played basketball at Giles County and up at UT Southern. She's coming in and doing photos for us. And Chandler Harmon. there's all kinds of names of people, and that's just a handful of them. There's still others that have been helping us, and those guys make PCL happen, and you guys keep it running. So I just appreciate y'all letting me come along for a ride.
Absolutely. Well, and it's interesting though. We give you a shout out as our producer every Friday night, which we cannot thank you enough for all that you do behind the scenes. However, you were doing a little double duty last Friday. You were up in Linville, and we do have to talk a little sports as Richland. It was homecoming. It was a big game versus a big opponent in Collinwood, and a second half comeback. Nearly got the Raiders there, but they fell just shy.
Man, these Raiders this year, I always fall in love with my team. Every year I fall in love with the team. Even that Richland team, especially they kind of hooked us in last year with the great year they had, and they hooked us in this year. They came in, they played these great games early on. They were real close in them, and you see them out there, and you know what they're capable of. I was talking to one of the dads yesterday in here in the office. They had stopped by, and you heard the conversation. It's like you know what they can do. You know what they're capable of. You just want them to know.
Yep.
And I watched them, and they just seem to be a tick or two off of really being able to play at a much higher level. They're not that far away to me. If they're just a tick or two off, and if they can figure that out, they got some great coaches up there. I know a couple of them. I go to church with one of them. They're a great bunch of coaches. So you guys, I'll say this: if any of the Richland folks are listening, go out there and keep yelling for your team, because these kids are not that far away. I've seen teams just like this that could go either way, and right now they got the opportunity to boost themselves up. And they got a couple of really important games coming up.
Yeah.
Eagleville is going to be vital for them to make the playoffs, and then when they take on Moore County, that's going to be there's a tough road to hoe there. That's a really good football team. But if they make that tick or two up, then they may have a chance to play with Moore County. Don't tell this Auburn fan who just watched Auburn almost or play with Georgia that they can't do it, because to be honest with you, I sat down and watched that Auburn Georgia game, and I had expected to not be there till after halftime, but I was.
They roped you in, kind of like the Raiders.
That's right, and I love the Raiders, and I love Giles County. I tell you what, the two running backs that Giles County has this year. I'm not going to say they are the best, because that wouldn't be fair to all the ones that came before them. But we would be hard pressed to find two running backs with that caliber, and they're not just running backs, but two backs with that caliber who have played for Giles in the backfield at Giles County at the same time. I think we're going to have a hard time finding that. X Randolph and Kamari Turner are just excited. They're worth whatever time and money you spend to go see those guys play. And look, they got a great team around them. Obviously, we've seen when you got great players, they're not the only ones, obviously. But they really bring this team from one level up a couple of notches. I think at least two notches. And Johnny Jackson's come in and as quarterback has done a good job. The defense is playing good. Tanner Holly's got them going. And the offense, the offensive line started to gel, which was kind of a concern early on.
Yeah.
And it showed out. That question mark showed up a little early on. Mm-hmm. Seems like everything's kind of gelling in place, just like David O'Connor. And I will say this about David O'Connor: I've seen a lot of football coaches come and go through Giles County. And I'm not going to call anybody I'm not going to go hyperbole on anybody, but I will say that I appreciate the way that David O'Connor coaches football. Just the way that he treats his team, his players, and the fact that it's almost consistent just about that his team is always going to get better. So I appreciate that.
And that's very well said. And you kind of touched on it with Richland. We're looking for them to maybe turn the corner, and Giles County seems to be trending in the right direction.
Right.
All roads kind of leading toward the final few weeks here of the regular season. Real quickly before we get you out of here, one other fun tidbit. We had an opportunity this week, the Main Street Media Awards. This was another thing that we just kind of have been excited about as part of our partnership now with MSM, and we got the community involved on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was a great thing. This is something that Main Street Media had been doing. Of course, those guys who don't know, we were purchased. The newspaper, Pulaski Citizen, was purchased, and everything else we do, Pulaski Citizen Live and everything else, was all purchased by Main Street Media back in February, and we're thankful to those guys for coming in and really saving our community newspaper, which is huge. And if you don't understand why it's so important, stop me sometime. We don't have time on this to talk about it. And if you want to do lunch, we probably ought to go do lunch, because it takes me a while to explain to you all the things that your community newspaper does for their community. So let's just get that out of the way. So stop me and we'll talk about it. But at the end of the day, they came in here and they brought some stuff with them. They brought a really good core foundation newspaper, local community newspaper foundation, but also they brought their digital presence that we've talked about, Main Street Media TV and Main Street Media Radio, which we'll talk about just before we get out of here. But they also brought the Main Street Media Awards, which is something they've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years, I think they said. And so we got to be part of that. And all of these great businesses that keep Giles County going, right? We put them out there, say these are the businesses that we know of that are in this category, but you can nominate your own in this category, and everybody in the community gets to vote for them every day. And then we'll get the top 3 together for an award show, and then we'll announce who the winners are. And that's awesome, and that happened right over here at Star Theater yesterday. We named 48 winners in those categories, and we had
a lot of folks.
Yeah, we had all those finalists, and we had the 48 winners. There's going to be a special section in the newspaper coming up to talk about or to show you who all the winners was. There'll be banners and little stickers showing up on people's windows, and these businesses really appreciate. The one thing that I think they appreciate more than anything is that it was voted on by the people of Giles County.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it great. But also that their local newspaper is also trumpeting local business. And that's really, we all got to do it together, right? If we live here, if we work here, if we got business here, we play ball here, we go to church here, we all go shopping together, we live in this community together, and that's what makes all this so great.
It was so fun to fly, dovetail kind of everything in there together.
Yeah.
And then, as we close, you and I, we're here on Wednesday. This show will come out on Thursday, and then we're getting ready to hit the road up to Franklin, as we only have a few weeks left, but it's been fun to be a part of Main Street Media Radio as Ravenwood travels to Franklin. We'll do a Thursday night broadcast, and then Chris and I will get together on Friday as Giles goes to Grundy County.
Right. The Main Street Media Radio thing is something that's been, it came together really fast. It's something I have wanted to do. It's kind of where Pulaski Citizen Live, I wanted to go with it eventually, was to have our own internet radio station, 24/7 radio. And we still may get there with Pulaski Citizen Live. I'm not giving up on that, but I'm glad that Dave Gould, our boss up in Gallatin, had also wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And so he went ahead and did that on the Main Street Media side, and we created the Main Street Media Radio station. And basically, you can go online to mainstreetmediaradio.com. All right, mainstreetmediaradio.com, and there's a radio station there that is streaming some of our Main Street Media TV content, is streaming the audio of that. But the number for the first show, by the way, that the first live show for Main Street Media Radio has been Thursday Night Football with Wade, Neely, and Scott Stewart. And that's pretty interesting too, because as much as Wade and I have been together, and I used to jump on Wade's show way back when he first had his show on WKSR 1420 AM.
Throwback.
Yeah, throw way on back. He would let me come in on Fridays and just rant, kind of like today, just ran on his show for like an hour, and at the end of his show on Friday. So I always enjoyed that, but we hadn't ever really done any games together.
Not a lot. No.
Not a lot. I've done with Ronnie Rose, and I've done games with Andy Chun, and I felt kind of like my life wasn't complete because I had never done any games with Wade Neely. So we've been doing these games, Thursday night games of the week, all over the mid-state. So we not only have gotten to see Giles County and Richland, but we've seen teams like Laverne and CPA and BGA, and we saw Siegel and Oakland last week. Oakland's a really good team. I'd love to see Oakland and CPA tie up. That'd be a really good ball game.
Got to go to the brand new $150 million James Lawson
High School. And let me just tell you, if you get a chance, man, go see that thing. $150 million campus up there in Bellevue. And it replaced Hillwood High School. You guys, you old school guys, remember Hillwood High School. It replaced Hillwood High School. We've been to some great places in the mid-state. We get to go up to Franklin. It's also Franklin's down a little bit, but I've gotten to see a whole lot of these new teams.
Yeah.
Like there was no such thing as a Seagull whenever I was living in Murfreesboro, right? And the James Lawson School is new, and so we got to see the West Creek School from up in Clarksville. We saw them play. We've seen a lot of really good games. So we got another game coming up tonight. It'll be tonight when you see this. And so we'll be up in Franklin. So, yeah, if you want to look that up, just look at it. Wade and I always are sharing stuff on our social media. So you'll know if we've got a game coming up and where you can tune into it. And then also, if you want to hear, like this show, I'm going to tell y'all a little back room secret in case you hadn't paid any attention. Like Wade's show every week, I pull the audio from this video. I pull the audio and I put it on, and we play that before our local high school games every week. So if our local high school game if we're going to start our main broadcast at 6:45, let's say, then about 6:15 you can hear this whole show as you're driving to the ball game. I mean, so anyway, just there's little things like that I'm trying to pull in to make it more like, you ever remember going to the ball games and you're listening to I remember listening to Murphy Fair, or you're going to a college game and you're listening to the local team talk about. Well, that's kind of what we're trying to build. I'm trying to build that up, and so that, you know, whenever you're going to the game, you can pull Wade up and listen to what's been going on in Giles County sports that week, and then be ready for the pregame. So there's a lot of great stuff going on. Just keep an eye on us, man. Don't go to sleep.
I was going to say, and if you do, you're going to miss something new and exciting because we're always trying to get better. And
right.
You, my friend, are at the fold of all that. Scott Stewart, thank you so much for your time, brother. He
Thank
is
you.
the publisher of the Pulaski Citizen. We are part of mainstream media, and you are watching from the Press Box with Wade Neely. Quick timeout, and we'll close it up here on this Thursday edition. Back right after this.
If you're looking for a new job, let M&M Staffing be your guide. With over 20 years of experience, we know how to connect great people with great opportunities. We work with over 80 companies, so we're sure to find the perfect job for you. Our team is dedicated to helping you succeed, and our high customer satisfaction rate proves it. Ready to get started? Visit us at mnmstaffing.net or give us a call today at 931-347-4255.
Welcome back in. Good to see everybody. We had fun. It's always a good time to catch up with our good buddy Scott Stewart. Again, working so hard as the publisher here at the Pulaski Citizen. He's kind of the executive producer of Pulaski Citizen Live, and he made a great point right at the end of our segment. I couldn't do what I'm able to do and what Mark and Jennifer and Chris and Cody and Trent and Colton and everybody are able to do on the air if he weren't making the magic happen behind the scenes. So always good to catch up with Scott. It was his birthday over the weekend. I was joking with him. I had a awesome, how about Auburn getting a win on your birthday text. And, well, we saw what happened, unfortunately. Deep South's oldest rivalry does go to Georgia, as we'll talk a little more college football here in the next couple of episodes. But for now, before we get out of here, I do want to give a big-time shout-out to head coach Jonathan Snyder and the Ardmore Tigers. They've kind of been reeling to start their year. Coming off of a bye week, they got a nice win versus Elkmont as the Tigers picked up a big one, 41-14, I believe, your final. So props to those guys. It was a non-region win. That's the only unfortunate thing, but they get ready to dive right back into region play coming up this week. So props to the Tigers, and best of luck to head coach Jonathan Snyder and the guys going forward. Big games of the week in our Fearless Forecasters contest. I thought I was going to be a little sneaky picking Texas A&M to knock off Alabama. Vegas says this game is going to be close. The spread was somewhere between 3.5, and it's potentially down to 1.5 by the time that you're watching or listening to this show. Red River rivalry, Red River shootout for the old school fans there. This is one that is on my college football bucket list. I am going to go to the State Fair one year and check that out. I guess the next time they'll meet, it'll be in the SEC. I like the Longhorns to win that one. Give me Ole Miss to knock off Arkansas. Give me Miami to knock off Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech losing to Bowling Green last week. Woof. Give me Kansas over UCF. UCF blows a 28-point lead in the second half. I watched some of that fourth quarter collapse versus Baylor. Speaking of Baylor, Texas Tech goes on the road, in my opinion, knocks off Baylor this week. Give me Colorado to bounce back. A win will be a win for Coach Prime and the guys, but I think they do win versus Arizona State. They can't, beggars can't be choosers. And yes, Arizona State's not great, but they are in desperate need of a win. In the Pac-12 as well, Washington State, give me the Cougs versus UCLA. In a game, only a fan of these two teams, and I'm not even sure a lot of these fans of these two teams will want to watch it. Give me Iowa versus Purdue. It will be UGLI. You ain't got no alibi. That game will be ugly. But I think the Hawkeyes win it if you're subjected to somehow have to watch that game. Give me Troy over Arkansas State. Give me Army over Boston College. Into the pros. Looking for the Titans to kind of string a couple of wins together here. They have the Colts on Sunday in Indianapolis, and this is not necessarily me picking the Titans. It's just I'm not sure who the Colts are just yet, so I don't really know which of these two teams will show up. That being said, I'm taking the Titans to knock off the Colts. Give me the Ravens to knock off the Steelers. Give me the Eagles over the Rams. Although that could be sneaky. That game's played out in L.A. And then finally, big game on Sunday night. Taylor Swift will not be in attendance for this week's Sunday night football game. But give me the 49ers over the Cowboys. Again, if you pick perfect, you can win $600. If you miss a game or two, but you're still our winner, you get that sweet cooler courtesy of our friends at Cardin Distributing. That's all the time we've got for this week's show. Again, Giles County is the only team in action this week as the Bobcats head up to Grundy County. Yours truly and Chris Bledsoe will be up in Colmont tomorrow night. You can catch that game on Pulaski Citizen Live. To listen to us, make sure you download the Mixler app and search PCL GCHS, or visit PulaskiCitizen.com and click Pulaski Citizen Live. This has been a unique episode as everybody's on fall break. We return next week. Go ahead and putting this out into the from the PressBox universe here. We will have a show next week, but then the week of the 13th, I think I got that right. The week of the 19th, we will not have a show as I will be out of town. More on that in next week's episode, but we will have an episode next week. I can promise you guys that. And then the following week, we will be off. I think I got it all squared away, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Wade Neely here, sports editor of the Pulaski Citizen, saying so long. We'll see you next time on From the Press Box with Wade Neely.